I do believe when it's all said and done, we'll look back at this time and say, I hope I never have to relive that again, but I'm very glad that I did because I'm better off because of it.
I am here to talk supply chain with Cesar. Cesar, welcome.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Nice to see you again.
Listen, we're at the beginning of 2022. It's always a good time to start thinking about, with a fresh year, what are the goals and objectives? I'd love to know for you, what are you putting as your objectives, both personally and professionally, heading into this year?
Sure. Yeah. Well, on the personal side, I'm hoping to read a little bit more. I have 3 young kids at home, and I get about a paragraph in before my eyes end up being closed. And so you can imagine at that rate, I get through about half a book a year. And then on the professional side, I have the privilege of supporting about 80 of our markets throughout the world. And so the last 2 years, that support has been primarily all virtual. And so I'm really looking forward to this year, getting back out, being able to interact again in person with our market teams and our suppliers throughout the world.
Well, I remember those days of the very hungry caterpillar, so enjoy them. They go by quickly.
That's what everyone says.
Listen, this year, 2021 and now into 2022, I don't think I have ever heard the word supply chain more than I have right now. There's a ton of things going on as part of that. Tell me a little bit about what you do and more broadly what your function does as part of our McFamily system.
All right, yeah, sure. I'll say this at a very high level. I mean, our job is similar to everyone else's. It's really about serving our customer and our people, and then within the context of supply chain, it's about getting the right product at the right time, in the right place, at a competitive price, and with the quality that our customers would expect.
And right now, describe for me what it's like working in supply chain with just everything coming at you. Are you getting any? I mean, beside the kids, you've got this thing going. How do you manage through all of that?
How much time do we have would be, the question to answer this one here. Yeah, I'll say this. I think if at this rate that we're going, if you walk on the supply chain floor, Chris, you're going to see a lot more of my colleagues with hair looking like mine. It's been a very challenging environment for all of us. I think as consumers, we can all relate, whether we're going to the grocery store and different items being out of stock more, or maybe the online order is taking longer to arrive, and certainly our supply chain is not immune to those factors. However, I'm really proud of the way that we've come together. Our market supply chain teams, our global supply chain team, our suppliers, and being able to weather the storm ultimately. And I think, the results that we had last year, certainly a testament of the hard work and the success that we've had in being able to weather that storm. I do believe when it's all said and done, we'll look back at this time and say, I hope I never have to relive that again, but I'm very glad that I did because I'm better off because of it.
I can totally sympathize with that. I think when you go through these types of experiences, it really brings out the best in the team, the best in each of us. And one of the things I'm really proud of is just how we've separated from all of our competitors. I think the resiliency of our supply chain has stood up through this pandemic in a remarkable way, particularly in the last year or so, and just something I'm incredibly proud of. You guys should be proud of as well. Probably the only nice thing about some of these disruptions that we've been dealing with is that the daily flow of Amazon packages to my house has slowed. So I have appreciated that, because I'm usually in charge of collapsing the cardboard box and taking it out to recycling. So that's probably been the only good thing from my vantage point. But tell me, for you, what are you most proud of in your career? Maybe it's something related to what we've just been going through, or as you think about your time at McDonald's, what stands out as a proud moment or proudest moment?
There's a particular instance that comes to my mind, and it made me just realize what this brand signifies to so many people globally throughout the world. And in my previous role, I supported our Latin America markets. I was born in Cartagena, Colombia, and on one of those visits, I was able to go back and visit family. A huge family in Colombia. I had not been there for about 10 years, and so naturally the nerves are picking up. Lots of aunts, cousins, uncles around, and what broke the ice ultimately was, hey, so McDonald's, how do you guys make the ice cream so good? And hey, I read this. Is it really true that? And it was at that moment in time that I thought, how unbelievable that we could grow up in such distinct environments that seem completely different. Yet at the end of the day, the Golden Arches is able to bring people together.
it is, I think, something that maybe we lose sight of until you have an experience like what you were just talking about there, which is just how the McDonald's brand can bridge across communities, across families, and bring everybody together. And so thank you for sharing that story. I also have heard that you have a unique skill nurtured in your childhood. And any insight into maybe what that is, something that you're particularly good at from your childhood?
So you have, I see you have really good sources, Chris, inside of McDonald's. I imagine that comes.
I'm not going to tell you my sources.
That comes with the territory, I imagine, of being CEO. Yeah, I grew up and I was a break dancer growing up in my childhood. So we would call ourselves a b-boy, call it. I used to spin on my head and do helicopters and all sorts of fun stuff. I describe my childhood really, it was just rich diversity that surrounded me. I would always joke and say that I was in classes with the smart kids. I then played sports, so I ate lunch with the jocks. And then certainly at night, I got in trouble with all the break dancers. And very happy to this day in that diversity and what it has helped me do in both my personal and professional career.
Awesome. You going to bust a move on us right now?
You know what? If you put me around the right group, you put good music, maybe a drink or two, normally there's a move or two that comes out. I pay for it the next day in all sorts of soreness, but
okay.
We'll save that maybe for a different day.
All right. Challenge accepted. We will find an opportunity to do that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for spending time with us and doing one-on-one with Chris K. And thanks to everything you and your colleagues are doing to keep our restaurants out there and able to serve customers with our great tasting food. Really appreciate how you guys have stood up. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Nice seeing you again.